We have brand new monsters, we have a brand new update, we have a lot of brand new stuff, as you can see here on the screen. Lots of very exciting stuff. All jokes aside, I don't know why this is not appearing on my device, but all jokes aside, we have the 659 update notice. We already talked about a few of these things, so we're just going to glance over the things that we've previously discussed in the last video. We have the brand new monster skills, Shadowcaster and Hypnomeow. We'll take a look at those in a second. I want to take a look at the actual page for the units. This way we can take a look at their skills as well and their leader skills. So we're going to come back to that later. SP button, if you guys are new, this is just increased rates for the newer monsters. This is not guaranteeing you any of the new monsters if you get lightning. It's just increased rates. So you could just go through hundreds of these without getting anything new, which has happened many times before. But yeah, these are back. They're always in the game now for any new monsters. We have the Battle Training Ground, new mock battles for Shadowcaster and Hypnomeow. So that's at least another couple crystals for you guys. Another scroll for that. Summoners War 8th Anniversary Special Events. We already talked about those in the last video, so I'm not going to go over them again. This was in the last notice, but we didn't really glance over it. I think this is going to be a must-use for any of this new little profile background. Is going to be a must-use for anyone that's likes to summon a lot of shiny toys and show them off. So this is probably going to be the most used profile background at this point, just because there's so many slots to put things in. Anyway, we have this 8th year anniversary special Summon Henge skin, which we had for the last anniversary. So it's just gonna replace for everyone. I mean, it's not you have to replace it. You could choose to have the other one if you want. Really doesn't matter. 8-year inbox. Fairly self-explanatory. Ranking menu added to Dimensional Hole Sacred. They don't like to do this right away. I think they like for us to figure out the teams that we want to use and not be like, oh, these are the best, fastest teams, so that we can all copy them. They kind of want us to figure it out on our own when these new dungeons come out. So that's why they don't do that. That's at least my take. I don't know if they've come out and actually said that that's what it was, but we have these new returning summoner benefit rewards over here. That's not, I mean, come to us. The whole point of right now, the 8th year anniversary special, is they're trying to get returning players and new players to play the game. If you guys couldn't, you guys figured it out. I don't need to tell you guys that. But yeah, that's one of the reasons they're doing this big ad campaign. They're also doing like sponsored placements in the app stores, if you guys haven't noticed that either. I'm sure you guys know. Well, you might not have noticed the sponsored things in the app stores. I don't know how often you guys hang around the app stores. We also have returning user benefits. These are new, which doesn't really matter if you're not returning users. We have, this is also for new players that haven't already gone through Summoner's Way progression. Just building level limit adjusted, quality of life improved. This applies to everyone. It's just less prompts, less pop-ups if you're trying to sell Power Plus 9 or 5-star grade runes. Now the pop-up only applies when you try to sell 6-star legend runes. We have the brand new 8-year Transcendence package with the brand new 8-year Transcendence scrolls, which give you the same exact thing as in the event, right? You get 1 of 8 units, and they're not going to be any dupes. You just get 1 of 8 units, and you decide which one you want. So this is, for anyone that spends money, this is basically a must-buy at this point. You get 8 options. And they could all be dupes, but not from each other. They're not going to be dupes to each other. They're just going to be duped. Like, they could be, you could already have them on your account, right? But they're always going to be different from each other. And then we have some game bugs fixed. So that is that for that. I was trying to change display. What I wound up doing is completely stopping the recording. So let's take a look now at the genius. Let's take a look now at the brand new Hypnomeows and Shadowcasters. I don't want to jump the gun, but some of these because I haven't tested any of these out yet, but some of these seem very strong. Considering that a lot of times we get some terrible units when they're first introduced. It's like, what are we going to use that for? Maybe let's summon it and spend lots of money and test it out. Oh, no, it's not very exciting. So these ones actually seem like they're better than the average new units that we get. And I think Comptos, one of the points that they're trying to do is like they want to make exciting new units to bring new people in to the game, to bring returning players back. So that's why they made them super cute. That's why they made their skills better than the average new units that we get. Like the Water Weapon Master, I'm sitting here like with the Water Oliver. I know Oliver's in a great place now, but when he first came out, wasn't that exciting, right? And then the weapon masters, some of the weapon masters. Well, some of the weapon masters are pretty good, actually. But some, like the water weapon masters, like, what are we going to do with that, right? Not complaining about the dark one. The dark one's fantastic. Anyway, Hypno Meows. These ones kind of feel like I don't know why I would use Hathor now if Manx the Fire Hypno Meow is here. So this... He's got a first skill. It's attacks enemy dealing damage according to your max HP. Puts target to sleep with one turn. I believe this is the same exact thing with all of these. Yeah. So same. Sometimes they're different. Most of the time they're the same though. Sleep. That's what it does. Sleep Talk passive. You can use skills while sleeping. The damage is increased by 100% when attacking enemies on your turn while sleeping. The damage is increased by 200% on the next turn when you wake up from sleep from taking damage. Automatic effect. Then we have Night Night, everyone. This is why I say, like, Hathor. This nerf feels like a Hathor nerf. I mean, this nerf, these new monsters feel like a Hathor nerf. We got Night Night, everyone. Attacks all enemies to deal damage in proportion to your max HP. Puts them to sleep for 2 turns. Put yourself to sleep for 1 turn after attacking. But not like sleeping is bad for him. Sleeping is actually not a bad thing for this unit. He gets buffed when he sleeps. So just this is Hathor, but a damage dealer and a fire unit. So this, I'm curious if people are good Hathor users. Do you feel like you are more likely to use Manx now? I feel like if I was a Hathor user, aside from the fact that he doesn't have a strip with skill 2, like Hathor does, I feel like Manx might be my go-to. I'm like, Gani Manx may just be a thing now. That's my feelings on that. But just AoE 2-turn sleep. 2-turn sleep. And he does and he's an HP bruiser. So he can do a little bit more than Hathor could do before. Because Hathor, she was struggling against some of those things because she didn't really do damage. He does damage. So then we have Berman. I didn't actually read his name before. So he's got 115 base speed. He doesn't do anything crazy with 115 base speed. He just happens to have 115 base speed. So he's got the same first skill. He's got the Sleep Talk passive. You can use skills while sleeping. Damage is increased by 100% when attacking an enemy. This is the same passive. Then he's got the Half Asleep passive. Oh, actually, we saw this guy already. He's kind of reminds me a little bit of Dragon Knights. When you wake up from sleep from taking damage, recovers attack bar by 50%. Recovers HP by 30% of the damage you deal to the enemy on the next turn. Just because he's a tanky bruiser type of unit. He's got 115 HP. Turn cycles a little bit, heals a little bit. You know, I feel like this one might be more of the more of a meta unit as far as those teams. Also, I was looking at this one, Nebelung, not crazy high base speed. We got the same first skill. We got the Foresight Dream passive. You can use skills while sleeping. Recovers HP of all allies by 20% each when you use a skill while sleeping. In addition to, that's not bad. In addition, decreases HP of the enemy that wakes up from sleep due to taking damage or getting a turn by 10%. This could be very interesting. This is one of those things that sometimes you kind of have to play around with it to see how good it potentially can be. But I'm going to play around with this guy. I'm sure we're going to actually get this one because it's a 4... Between the 4 stars, lots of summons, and the SP button, we may get like one or two of these guys, right? Or one or two of the Hypno Mouse in general. So hopefully we get all of them. Anyway, Dream Fairy passive. Allies under sleep will not get defeated by enemy attacks. This is kind of similar to the Dark Onimusha. A little bit. However, a lot of times you're just sleeping the enemies so that you can focus on something else. So I don't know that, like, this sounds cool, but I don't know that this in practice will be as exciting as maybe I think that it is at first. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't? Okay. Well, I mean, well, this is one that I want to test out and see if we can make some cool combos with him more so than the other ones, because the other ones are fairly cut and dry, right? The other ones are like, this is like kind of like counter mechanics, but the other ones are like, yeah, I do an AoE 2-turn sleep. You know what it is, because Hathor does it. It's very similar to Hathor. This one, Siamese. Oh, are they all cats? Hold on. For those of you that love cats, you may have already figured this out. I didn't figure this out yet. They're all cat names, I think. What is this one? Bombay? I don't know that Bombay and Nebelung are cat names. So, whatever. If you're a cat person, you leave it in the comments. We got the Foresight Dream. This is the same one as the Wind one, right? The same second skill as the Wind one. And then we have the Eating Dream passive. Removes sleep from all allies, anti-Hathor, maybe anti-Manx at this point, except yourself if you get a turn while sleeping. In addition, recovers HP of the allies with sleep removed by 30% each. So bye-bye. I mean, bye-bye Hathor, but also, this is already a counter to Manx. So maybe we don't even see a Ganymanx meta because people are going to... If people have Siamese, maybe he just stops that from being a thing. So, it's very interesting. This is a unit that would have been super OP in the everyone is using Hathor meta from like a couple years ago. We got the leader skill. Only 2 of them have leader skills. This one and this one. So only the ones, I believe only the ones that have the Foresight Dream also have the leader skills. So that's kind of interesting. But this one is just a absolute counter to Hathor. Then we have Bombay. This one, same first skill. This is Sleep Talk, is the same as the Water and Fire ones. And then we have this one, Dream Invader passive. When you attack the enemy on your turn, this is the fun one, the enemy's defense is ignored if both you and the enemy target are sleeping. And he already puts himself to sleep as well. So you just bring him with a sleep theme and he ignores defense. Although he's an HP-based unit, though. That's the thing. He's an HP-based unit, but he does also buff his damage with his passive. So this seems like it would be a fun bruiser ignore defense unit to actually use. I'll probably never get him, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. We're here on the Europe server account, just in case you guys are like, you got Artemails? Like, it's the Europe server. So, Ren. So Ren has 120 base. Actually, I didn't take a look at all the base speeds on here. 120, 105, 105, 1. This, if this was 120, this would be broken. This guy would be broken if he was 120. So Ren is the one they have leader skills. It's crit rate of fire units with leader skills, water, wind, light, dark. They're not anything crazy leader skills. They do have the crit rate leader skills though. Same as like the occult girls. Like how often do we really use the occult girls leader skills? If you find yourself using those, then you're gonna probably use these, I'm sure. But 120 base speed is much easier to make him viable for anything fast and aggressive, which is kind of what he does. We've seen him a little bit already. We can actually see the skill previews if you guys want to see that. We'll just do it. We'll just do it. So he's got the kind of similar to a Helena in terms of utility. He's got this that does attack all enemies, silence them, and absorb their attack bar by 50% each. So you can kind of see the skills there. And then it's 5 turns, goes down to 4 turns, but also he turn cycles, so it's kind of less than that. Anything that turn cycles themselves, the skill cooldowns are kind of effectively less than what it actually says in the game. And then we have this defense break, and then he protects himself over there. He just covers himself with his claw. What does that claw look like? I don't know. There's a game. Or maybe I'm thinking Alien. I don't know. I don't know. We can take a look at the other units here. All their skills. We got the Shadow of the Right Arm there. I believe this guy has a passive. Yeah, he's got the passive. We can take a look a little bit. We can take a look a little bit later. This I want to show right now. This is kind of interesting. He puts this in a shadow state, right? So he attacks one enemy, and the other units also go into this special state, which we'll talk about in a second. But I just figure we'll start that off by with that. So this guy, he absorbs attack gauge. He does the defense break. He protects himself. We'll play around with him. We'll see if he's going to be as good as we hope he is. He's a control unit, right? This one we've got the stun. They both have stuns. All of them have stuns with skill 1. Stun here. We have the same Shadow of Right Arm. Oh yeah, this one is kind of interesting because this one is. He's an attacker, but he also is kind of... It feels like he's an okay turn 2 unit. And maybe I would build him as more of a bruiser, considering he's got this Shadow of Right Arm, which nullifies an attack. And then it also does... Well, it does a damage. It defense breaks. and it does the nullifying attack when he gets covered by the arm, right? So this Shadow Within Me passive counterattacks with Shadow of Right Arm if you get attacked by enemies without the Shadow's protection. So you take turn 2, your opponent comes in, and they, like, Triton you, right? They Triton you, then you use Shadow Within Me, and you counterattack, and then you put yourself in this protected state so that if they're trying to Triton you and then Savannah, or Triton you and then something else, whatever, he's going to go into state and he's going to be just nullified. His attacks are going to be, or his damage that he takes is going to be nullified. So it's kind of an interesting turn 2 style of unit. I'm probably saying this terribly. You're like, Vega, I am more confused after you said that description than I was initially, which is pretty straightforward. That's usually how it is. Then we've got Zen. So I think that he could be a decent turn 2 unit because that state where he's protected by his like Shadow Arm can potentially come into play quite an annoying amount. We will see. We will see on paper. Sometimes things can be different than in actual gameplay. So we've got this one. His big thing is he is guaranteed to exchange the attack bar status of all enemies, boss excluded, with each other at random. Afterwards, it recovers your attack bar by 100%. Could be nasty on defense. Like if he had 120 speed and you put your fastest Swift set on him and he does Frantic Chaos, your entire speed-tuned arena offense team gets changed to different attack gauges. So like your stripper moves after your damage dealer, and then at the very end you have the Galleon moving to attack, power buff, and defense break after everyone else moves, and he could completely mess everything up. He's also very tanky, but he doesn't have like the crazy 120. If he had a crazy 120 base speed, this guy would be all over arena defense, I feel. They would just build him tanky and make him super fast. So, potentially could be one of those nasty niche units. Like counter cleave kind of thing. He's going to be harder to get to that super crazy fast speed, but he's a potential counter cleave type of unit if you can get him faster than your opponent to move first, because he can mess up your opponent's turn order. Then we have Shun. I don't know if these are damage. I don't know if these names are based on anything. I'm sure someone will mention in the comments, because I'm sure there are, and someone will know. So he's got the stun here. He has the shadow tie here. So this is the best way, I think, to explain it is he turns your other units into Pungbek. You guys like, oh, Pungbek. I don't care about Pungbek. Okay, good to know. No, he turns your other units into Pungbek, ties the enemy shadow, and grants an effect that gives 30% of the first hit damage to all enemies if you deal a single target skill damage to the target. This effect can tie one target at a time. It gets untied if the tied target gets hit by a single target attack, or if you get defeated. It does not apply to boss battles. So, as we showed, you do it on one unit, the other units get tied to it, and then you do big damage to that one unit, and then the other units on the side also take some damage. Not the same damage, just some damage. It's kind of similar to Pungbek. That's the best way that I can describe it. Then we have the Infinity Shadow passive. Ignores defense when attacking a target. He is a support unit, though, so keep that in mind when he says ignore defense. But he's not going to... It's going to be harder for him to do more ignore defense damage than it would be for, like, Covenant to do a lot of ignore defense damage. So... ignore defense when attacking a target tied by the shadow, and the shadow you tied won't get untied even if the enemy takes damage. So that's one of the keys, is like this gets untied. This, if he does it, it doesn't get untied. So, just food for thought. He could be potentially, he's a nasty combo with himself. So there is that, but he's a damage dealer that does splash damage effectively. Then we have the Ritsu, which is also potentially a nasty one. This would actually, I feel like this might be, kind of want him to be the attack type, but that would be too OP, right? If he was the attack type unit, and this was the, whatever, this was the support unit. Anyway, we've got this one. This counters anything that gets turns in the game. We've got the stun here. We've got the shadow of right arm over here, which is the same as the other ones. Shadow of right arm, shadow of right arm, shadow of right arm. And then we have the third skill, Shadow Trap passive. Cast a Shadow Trap on the target boss excluded after you attack the enemy on your turn. If the target with the Shadow Trap gets a turn, you will get the turn instead of the target. He doesn't let anyone get turns. He gets the turns instead. So this is potentially very nasty. Nasty OP brand new LD5 that counters like, yeah, whales, this is the one. Buy all the LD packs. This is the one you need to get now. So, yeah, this one seems very, very strong. But anyway, I just wanted to go over some of these new... I mean, we can see some of the... We don't need to see the skills, whatever. I just wanted to go over these skills, give my thoughts on them. They just seem like good units overall. They seem like I can see them, for the most part, being used in gameplay. But anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys summon them as well. I will see you as always in the next one.